Hi, and welcome to the very first episode of PsychBase Presents. And I'm your host, PsychBase. This is the very first podcast that we're going to do, and it's a kind of a special project. Basically, this comes from a presentation that I gave at two separate brony conventions in 2014. The first was at Crystal Fair in St. Louis, and the second was at Ponyville Ciderfest in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Basically, this presentation came about because I've been a brony for a long time, and I'm also a clinical psychologist, and I had seen the fandom do amazing things with art and music and plushies and all kinds of amazing things, and I wanted to contribute to that as well, and I figured the best way for me to do that is by using the knowledge that I already have as a psychologist to be able to help people. So I put together this presentation, which I thought might help some people in presenting the fandom to others, because obviously presenting the fandom is an interesting thing that we all get into. I did the presentation twice. It went off really well on both occasions. People really liked it, and people asked me to put it online so that other people could see it. And so this is my very first attempt at doing that. I'm going to break this presentation into several parts because the original presentation was really, really long, and I don't want to bore all of you, so I'm going to put this out in chunks, and that way you can hopefully get through it in a much easier process. So let's get started with the first presentation. Putting your best hoof forward, how to represent the brony community as a positive force for harmony. Okay, let's talk about the purpose of this presentation. I wanted to do this because bronies are amazing, creative, and wonderful people, and bronies really could do a lot to non-bronies to highlight this. These are the things that people are going to like and respect and understand about us. They're not going to get some of the nerdier things. They're not going to get some of the things that are directly related to the show, but they may understand the similarities between us and them, and that kind of highlight is really important. Bronies are a relatively new part of the internet culture. Obviously, brony started in 2010 with the show, and various stories about how it started from the B-board of 4chan. Bronies are not exactly popular or well understood, mainly through a small but vocal minority of people. I was really surprised to find out that a fandom that purports to love and tolerate and to be into creativity and energy was seen by a lot of people as being annoying or being a bunch of trolls or being really very, very strange or annoying. And I wanted to basically see if that could be changed or if that was accurate. All deviant subcultures, and I'm putting bronies in as a deviant subculture, and what I mean by deviant is not that they're strange, but just that they're different than the norm. They deviate from the norm. All deviant subcultures can improve their social standing, and we're going to talk about how that's going to happen. So, first thing here, we're going to talk about who am I. I'm going by PsychBase here. I am a clinical psychologist. Obviously, PsychBase is not my real name. Unlike Fluttershy here, I have a PsyD, which is a doctorate in psychology. She has a PhD in adorableness. I have been a brony since season 1. I came to the show actually through a patient. I had a patient who said that they would exercise for 1 week if I watched an episode of this TV show. And I was like, sure, I will make that deal because I wanted my patient to get better and healthy. So I went home and I kept my promise and I watched the first episode of the TV show, and obviously it was a 2-parter, and I said, well, I'll go ahead and finish this episode out. Then when it finished, I had 20 minutes to kill, so I was like, well, I'll just watch the third one. So I watched the third one, and when my wife came home that day, I was like 7 episodes in, and she's like, what are you doing? I'm like, shut up, it's on, I'm really enjoying this. And so that's how I really came to the show. I am a bass player, hence the name PsychBase. It's not Psych Bass. I play bass in a band called Party Cannon, which obviously does come from the show. It is not a brony band, but I do like slipping some brony things in there occasionally. And a husband. My wife is not a Pegasus, or not at all. And that's actually part of the reason why I wanted to do this presentation, is because I loved this fandom so much. I took her to a convention, and she did not like it at all. She was very put off by a lot of the things in it, and so it got me thinking about what are the things that put people off who are not in the fandom, and how can we change that to be more inviting and understandable to other people. As previously stated, I'm going by PsychBase. Here is my OC. Psych is obviously from psychology, and bass because as I play bass. As previously stated, here's a shameless plug for my band Party Cannon. That is me with the hair playing the bass, and obviously Pinkie Pie hiding out in the background. A quick note on the slides. I have used and I'm going to use a lot of brony art from Google Images in this presentation, and I appreciate the use and existence of all of this amazing art. I do not own any of this art. The only art that I own are the images of my OCs that I paid for. I paid for them from two amazing artists, which I will give a shout out to, and just really great stuff. Whenever possible, I've attempted to source my material, and certainly if you have a problem with any of the art that I've used, or if it's actually your piece and you don't want me to use it, let me know and I will have it removed or give you a shout out for that. What we're going to cover in these series of presentations is we're going to look at the criticism of bronies, which is, I think, both deserved and undeserved. We're going to talk about the positive aspects of the bronies. This section is going to seem a little bit like kissing bronies' butts, and that's not what it's going to be. It's basically meant to point out the aspects of bronies that are more likely to connect with other people in a positive way. For example, a lot of people that I've talked to, other bronies, will say that they came to the show because they love the quality of the animation, and it's just so beautiful. And a lot of people outside of the cartoon watching community don't get that at all. It just doesn't resonate with them. But when you talk to them about the fandom being creative and writing stories and fan fiction and doing art and music, they get kind of inspired that something could inspire people to create something better, and that really gets them interested. We're also going to talk about how to improve bronies' social standing, and we're going to do that by looking at bronies' attitudes, their image, how people view them, and how they perceive themselves, and brony outreach, what bronies can do to connect with the community in a positive rather than a negative way. This presentation is going to be more than just spaghetti. I will admit that I am 36 years old, so I didn't know what spaghetti meant. Spaghetti was an internet term, and I actually learned about it from other bronies. Apparently, spaghetti is being awkward in public. It's the whole story about dropping the spaghetti. Here, I do not want this presentation to be a list of how to avoid spaghetti. I've seen a lot of those lists, and they just generally turn into a lot of sayings saying, don't do this, don't do that. That really only limits your options and choices and doesn't tell you what you can do. We need options for how to present the brony fandom clearly and positively. The goal is to expand your communication toolbox and to invite respectful interactions with other people, even with people who additionally don't get you or who don't get the fandom. Going along with that idea, even though I'm a psychologist and some of these ideas are based in research, really they're all research-informed opinions, and you may disagree with some of my opinions, and that's totally okay. You may have a different style. One lady that I did this presentation with really just did not like what I had to say at all. It made her very angry, and that's completely her call. So here, if there's something that I say that you don't like, that's okay. The whole idea is to take what you can learn from this and then do something that's important to you with it. We're going to look at the perception of bronies. At this picture here, I kind of like this picture. I mean, obviously, it's looking at people think that bronies are all cloppers or all sexual deviants. If you look at the next one, obviously, people think that it's childlike or childish, or that there's a bunch of man children. There's pedo bear. People think that it's a sexually deviant thing, so it must involve kids. I will say that I treated sex offenders in an outpatient setting for 5 years, and none of those people that I dealt with were bronies or even remotely bronies. I have not seen that to be a significant part of the fandom, thank God, which would not be okay at all. The next ones I think are sort of kind of accurate. Bronies really do think about the fandom a lot. They go a little pinkamena sometimes and get excited about it, and they get passionate about that. And so being able to share that passion while being aware of how society views the negative aspects of the brony fandom may actually be helpful, because if you can address the negative stereotypes and demonstrate the positive aspects of being a brony, people may understand that better. We're going to define bronies here, and defining this from the ever-reliable Urban Dictionary. They define a brony as, hold on, I'm trying to move a picture out of here so I can read it. There we go. Is a crazy pedophile with terrible hygiene that likes to watch My Little Pony porn. Somebody who completely gave up on life and wastes their days surrounded by My Little Pony stuff. Usually an older man who has the mentality of a 2-year-old or with the IQ of a rock. A lot of people have this kind of stereotypical idea that is not correct at all. But the idea is if you can understand this is where they're coming from, you can be the opposite of that. You can show them that obviously I am not stupid. I am not immature. I have a good job. People like me. I help other people, and people can understand those aspects of you as a person. If they like you as a person, they may begin to understand you better and give the fandom a chance. How some people see bronies, they see us as weirdos, immature. They conflate the idea of furries and plushies with bronies, and there may be some overlap with some people, but there may be some overlap between Republicans and bronies, or Democrats and bronies, or people of faith or people not of faith. There's going to be overlap with everything. They may see bronies as feminine. They may see bronies as gay or queer. They may see them as weak. One of the things that's been happening on the internet is that people are described as autistic when they're socially awkward. This is actually really inaccurate from a medical or psychological standpoint. Autism is a spectrum of conditions. It's not just being awkward. So it's inaccurate to say that it's autistic, and it's also very offensive to people who are autistic. Some people see bronies as annoying because we do kind of vomit our love for the fandom all over the internet, and some cases real life, and people can be off-put by that. They see bronies as deviants because they're not normal, and they can see bronies as socially inept. There is kind of the stereotype of the fedora-clad neckbeard living in his parents' basement, and that is not the case for the vast majority of bronies that I have had the pleasure of meeting. We're going to look at what bronies really are. My definition of bronies is a human being who enjoys a quality cartoon called My Little Pony. There are as many different kinds of bronies as they are bronies. Bronies are incredibly different, unique individuals, but no more or no less than everybody else on the planet. We're just different, and we're just the same, just like everybody else. This next slide comes from the My Little Brony website in June of 2014, and basically states that 5% of what bronies learned from being in the fandom was love and tolerance, 5% was making some friends, and 90% was fighting online. I was surprised to see this, and this probably comes from me being a little bit of an older brony, and I didn't spend a ton of time on the Facebook pages and the brony groups and things like that, but there was a tremendous amount of fighting. And people kind of being mean back and forth to each other, and people see that because it's a public forum. Now, this doesn't mean that bronies obviously have to be the same and all get along. That would be incredibly boring and unrealistic. Bronies should have different ideas from each other. But there are more productive and politer ways of conveying that you disagree with somebody than just flat out burning them online for everybody to see. This next slide here is that we do support each other. You know, sometimes bronies fight when we're online. We're 10 foot tall and we're bulletproof. We did start on 4chan, which is the den of iniquity and despair, and just basically attacking everything that's good in the universe in a really funny way. So we do have that DNA in us. However, bronies really have pulled together in a lot of ways to offer financial assistance to other bronies or to charity organizations. They offer friendship to each other, love when they need it, advice, experience, and support. Bronies really can help each other in a very positive way, and I think that really should be encouraged. This next slide is just a quick depiction here of what can happen when people see the dark side of the fandom, and when I mean the dark side of the fandom, I don't mean things like Clop and Grimdark. That's just an aspect of the fandom. What I mean is people being mean to each other, or judging each other, or just being outright vicious to each other, or being over the top in a way that's very off-putting to other people. And so people can come to the fandom and say, this show is really good, and the fandom is really exciting, and people do creative things, and really be overwhelmed and then run away from it and decide that they don't want anything to do with it, and that's really sad. One of the things that we need to do as bronies is realize that part of our perception by the rest of the world really is our fault, and that's a good thing. If we own that we're responsible for that, we have the power to change it, because we can choose different actions that change how people see us. Sometimes we bronies can fight too much. We can draw too much negative attention to ourselves. We can beat up on our own brothers and sisters in the fandom. I have seen death threats made to writers of the show. And I've seen people attacking other people for their political views about the show, or particularly regarding feminism or sexism, and that can be very nasty and very ugly. At times we do spam our love for the show all over it indiscriminately and annoy other people. I know that I'm guilty of putting pony memes up on fandoms when I'm expressing appreciation for somebody's post, and they may not get it. We demand understanding from other people without giving evidence of deserving it. And this is a huge point. If you want to be understood, the first thing that we have to do is make an effort to see how other people understand us and try to understand them and where they're coming from. It's only when somebody feels understood that they will turn their effort to trying to understand us. And we have to realize that some of us can be absolutely rude, inconsiderate, and inappropriate, and that is going to affect how other people view us. This next part is going to be looking at bronies as geeks. When I say geek, what I'm talking about is a Star Wars fan, or a Trekker, or an Avatar, or somebody who's really into Harry Potter. People who get very excited about learning about the fandom and talking about it with other people and getting together. Bronies are geeks in that they are very interested in a very specific topic, which is My Little Pony, and they gain social standing by knowing arcane information about that and trading in that currency. It's like the comic book guy from The Simpsons. I got really excited when I found out that Princess Celestia had broken the laws of her mentor. Star Wars debuted, and she ran off to another dimension, and she fell in love with an alternate version of King Sombra, and that comes from the Pony comics. I was really excited about that because it was different, and I can talk about it with other bronies who would get that and be excited by it. That's what a geek is. So we're going to look at Michael Suliban Wilson. He generated 5 false beliefs about friendships that gets geeks into trouble. These come out of a book by Jed Wilson called My Little Pomo, which is a postmodern read of the first season of My Little Pony. I can't recommend this book highly enough. It's such a good book. It's well written. It's very interesting. I really wish that Jed would write another book for each one of the seasons because they're so good, and I can't recommend them enough. So please go support him and buy that book. These 5 beliefs come from Michael Suliban Wilson's Geek Social Fallacies. So we're going to look at those. The first fallacy is that ostracizing anyone for any reason is always wrong. And this is most obviously seen in the brony mantra of I will love and tolerate the shit out of you. Now, we need to look at the possibility that there are people who should be ostracized from certain groups. There was an anime group in St. Louis, and there was apparently a guy who was well known for being predatory on underage women. And this guy should be excluded from that group. That's not safe for other people. People who are violent, people who are unpredictably angry, people who are users, people who are unsafe. They should be ostracized from the group for the safety of the group. And if we don't look at that, we can invite people in who are a very negative influence, who are a very damaging influence to ourselves and others. Now, this does not mean that we should be mean to people, but that we can expect and enforce positive social behaviors. If somebody is being mean, it's okay for us to say, hey, man, I noticed that you were really being unduly harsh to that Pegasus over there. What's going on, and do you think that's okay? that we really can expect better from ourselves and other people. The best example from the show that I can think of is Fluttershy being kind by kicking out the Breezies. The Breezies were being lazy and they weren't trying to better themselves. They were really taking advantage of Fluttershy's kindness, and she had to dig within herself and realize that she needed to kick them out. She needed to expect more from them. And I really liked that lesson because it was such a heartbreaking thing for her to do, but it saved their lives. And this is the same thing that we can do in the fandom. The second geek social fallacy that we're going to look at is that friends must always uncritically accept each other as they are. This is very similar to the first idea, but it's instead of kicking somebody out, it's just saying that we should allow people to be 100% of who they are. And this one's actually kind of a slippery slope sort of thing, because we definitely should allow people to be who they are. That is their right as a human being. However, if there's something that's going on that we think is inappropriate, we should also be allowed to say that too. And we can say, hey, I noticed that you haven't showered in 4 days. Are you doing okay? That you seem really depressed and I haven't seen you around. Is everything going on? I noticed that you've been really mean and angry. Is there something going on that I can help with there? So that it's definitely okay to look at people and how they're doing and really kind of critically look at the good and the bad and how can we help them as people. One of my jobs as a therapist is to help people understand when they are doing something that is not helpful to them or to other people. This really comes down to the quality of the relationship that I have with that person. If that person doesn't trust me, if they don't know me well enough to know that I'm coming out of a place of care for them, my advice, as good as it might be, is going to fall on deaf or really angry ears. If I say, hey, you're not well liked by your wife because you're kind of a jerk to her, he's just going to think that I'm just a jerk. But if I say, hey, we've been seeing each other for a long time, and one of the things that you pay me for is to be honest with you, and I've noticed that your wife doesn't respond very well when you yell at her, that you get hurt when she rejects you, and she rejects you when you ignore her for 4 days. So we can look at the critical things about other people, but we can do it in a way that's helpful to them and respectful of who they are as people. Geeks Out social fallacy number 3 is that friendship comes before all other concerns. And this is kind of a funny one to have in a show that is friendship is magic, where friendship is very important, and the lessons of the show are that friendship is a magical way to solve a lot of problems in life. And it really is. We are stronger if we are joined together than if we are all separate individuals fending for ourselves. However, there are things that are more important than friendship. Our family, being able to do the right thing is more important than friendship. Taking care of yourself, which is a concept that comes from a therapist by the name of Marty Klein, is the idea of self-care-ish. Being self-care-ish is taking care of yourself so that you can take care of somebody else. It's not being selfish. Selfish is where you put your needs above that of other people, regardless of how it hurts other people. Self-care, on the other hand, is taking care of your own needs so that you can take care of other people at a later time. So friendship is very important, but it's not the most important thing. A lot of geeks will get the idea that I have to be with my friends all the time, or that I have to reject all my other concerns because my friends are there. No, it's that they're very important, but we have to look at our friendships in context of our whole life. Geek social fallacy number 4, that friendship is transitive. Your friends are now my friends and vice versa. This is really easily seen at conventions where everybody is friends. They all get along and they get together and they hold hands and they sing songs. But it's also seen at political rallies when the guy next to me or the woman next to me is got to believe the exact same things I do, so we're all great and everybody else is terrible. It's seen at sporting events where people who like the Cubs are fantastic and people who like the Cardinals are terrible, and it really comes down to that's not true. People are people, and there's going to be a huge, broad variety of people there, so that your friends may like you, but they may not like me, or I may not like them. We need to find those friendships need to be individually based versus group based. And that can create problems with people. The example here was with Gilda and Pinkie Pie and Rainbow Dash. Just because Gilda and Rainbow Dash were friends does not mean that she got along with Pinkie Pie very well. And I liked that lesson because of that. That our friends have rights to their friends, but they may not necessarily get involved with us too quickly. Geek social fallacy number 5 is friends do everything they can together. Again, this is seen very clearly in the episode where Rainbow Dash and Pinkie Pie are interacting, and Rainbow Dash is a little annoyed by Pinkie Pie. This can lead to dependence and burnout and irritation and a lack of experiencing other opportunities in our lives. Our friends are definitely magic, but we also need some alone time or with other friends. We need to be able to explore the relationship with ourselves, which is one of the most important messages in our life, is figuring out who we are, what kind of people that we want to be. Spend time with our family, spend time with our significant others, with our kids, and obviously with friends. We don't have to do everything together. Kind of leaving the idea of the mistakes that geeks make from the Michael Sullivan Wilson ideas, we're going to come up with some other ideas. We have pushing the fandom. I really kind of approach friendship as magic like an angry dog. If you try to rush up and embrace it, it's going to bite you. So if you push the fandom on people and they're not interested in it, they're going to bite back. When you approach an angry dog, what you're supposed to do is to bend down, be safe and likable, and maybe if the dog likes you, it will approach you. And then you're safe, hopefully at that point, to pet it. So here, if you are likable, if you are funny, if you're a good person, people like that, they might enjoy you. And then they might give the fandom or the show a chance because they like you as a person. Enjoy what you like and let other people do the same thing. And if everybody liked the show, bronies wouldn't be special. Bronies wouldn't be unique. So it's not going to be for everybody. One of the things that we do that's not helpful is that we can definitely be annoying in certain ways. We can spam other people's pages with ponies or memes. We've all seen the mods are asleep post ponies memes that go out there, and that's okay on pony pages. Just be aware that when you push your fandom on somebody else, it can be overwhelming and it can actually turn them off both to you personally and the fandom. One of the things that can be annoying is defining your personality based solely on the show or solely on being the brony, because it's an easy identity to kind of latch onto. Everybody is much more complicated than that. They're more than just one thing. You are a brother and a son and a worker and a student and a friend and a boyfriend and a brony and all these other things in there as well. So make sure that your life is balanced, that you love ponies, but you also love other things too. It can be definitely annoying to people when you label disagreement as hate. People have a right not to like the show, and people have a right not to like the fandom. They're not haters. They're just saying, this is not for me. And you know what? That's completely okay. Ponifications, where people take Doctor Who and turn them into Doctor Hooves and things like that, that's generally okay in the fandom, but some people see that as taking over the things that they love. If you're on a Doctor Who fan page or whatever, you might put a Doctor Who's thing up occasionally, but don't totally spam the thing with that, or people will say, hey, this is a Doctor Who page, not a Doctor Who's page. Okay. One of the things here I wanted to talk about is being inappropriate. Over-bronying, which we'll talk about in a second, is in public, exposes people to the fandom without the context to understand the admittedly unusual aspects of the fandom. People need to understand where things like 20% Cooler or the Rainbow Dash's mane or the relationships between the ponies come from. So they need the context to see where these things come from. Otherwise, it just looks weird. It looks strange. It looks immature. It looks very odd. So over-bronying kind of forces that in people's face and makes them say, I don't like this, I don't understand it, I'm backing off. Whereas if they can understand what's happening, it puts things in context and they might actually enjoy it. That over-broning does not spread love and tolerance, it just makes enemies. One way that people are inappropriate is that by posting or discussing deviant, grimdark, sexually inappropriate topics where children or the public might see, including public Facebook pages and things like that, really does put some strangeness out there without the context to understand it, and people are going to really back off from that. And then basically it's inappropriate to take what's essentially entertainment, which is it's a cartoon, it's a great cartoon, but obsessing over it is not healthy. One of the things that was surprising to me, again, is that bronies can be known for being inappropriate. These are 3 Tumblr pages that are just dedicated entirely to inappropriate or awkward bronies. I'm not supporting these pages. I don't like them at all. But I think the fact that they exist, they wouldn't exist if we bronies didn't give them things to put on these pages. So the best thing to do is just to ignore them, and to be, for all of us as a group, to be the best group that we can be so that these pages are completely unnecessary. This is kind of it for the first section. The next section that we're going to look at is going to be is improving the public perception of bronies possible, and we'll find out if it is. But the spoiler alert is that it's going to be possible, and we'll talk about some ways to do that, hopefully. So I hope that you have enjoyed the first part of this presentation. I've really enjoyed doing it for you all, and I look forward to seeing you in the next edition. Thanks for listening, and this is PsychBase signing off.